सुनेंगे रामायण की क्लास तो मुझे
We'll get started with the prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yadkripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramanandamadavam Krishna Chaitanyamishwaram Namah Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. We'll offer prayers to Valmiki Muni, Hanuman, and Lord Sri Ramachandra. Kujantam Rama Rameti Maduram Madhuraksharam Aruhya Kavita Shakam Vande Valmiki Kokilam Valmiki Muni Samhasya Kavita Vanacharinaha Shranvan Ramakatha Nadam Konayate Param Gatim वेदवेद्ये परिपुंसे जाते दशरथात्मजे वेदः प्राचेत आसीत् साक्षात् रामायणात्मना अञ्जनानन्दनं वीरं जानकी शोकनाशनं कपीशमक्षहन्तारं वन्दे लङ्काभयङ्करं मनोजवं मारुततुल्यवेगं जितेन्द्रियं बुद्धिमतां वरिष्ठं वातात्मजं वानरयूथमुख्यं श्रीरामदूतं शिरसा नमामि आञ्जनेयमतिपाटनालनं काञ्चनाद्रिकमनीयविग्रहम् पारिजाततरुमूलवासिनं भावयामि भवमाननन्दन यत्र यत्र रघुनाथकीर्तनं तत्र तत्र कृतमस्तकाञ्जलिं बाष्पवारि परिपूर्णलोचनं मारुतिं नमत राक्षसान्तकं जयत्राश्रतसन्त्रासध्वान्तविद्वांसनोदयः प्रभवान् सीतया देव्या परमव्योमभास्करः श्रीराम राम रामेति रमे रामे मनोरमे सहस्रनाम तत्तुल्यं श्रीराम नाम वरानने. Krishna. So we are continuing our Yuddha Kand section of the Valmiki Ramayana. So the Yuddha Kand begins with the meeting of Hanuman and Lord Sri Ram. Hanuman bears the message of Sita Devi and gives it to Lord Ram. He receives the embrace of Lord Ram. They decide to go to the shore of the ocean. They march all the way to the southern ocean. And once they march to the southern ocean, they camp there at the shore of the ocean. Meanwhile, back in Lanka, the situation is very tense, and our Ravan is very disturbed because a mere monkey came and set the entire Lanka in fire. The ministers were all glorifying Ram, and they were telling the they were glorifying Ravan, and they were telling Ravan, "You're capable of doing anything. Why are you worried about Ram and the monkeys?" But then Vibhishan, he said that you have to first assess the strength of your opponent. So just don't blindly listen to whatever your ministers are telling. Kumbhakarna, that particular day, he was awake. He gets awake once in 6 months. So that particular day, he was awake, and he also gave the same advice. But then he said, anyhow, you're my brother. Whether you do the right thing or wrong thing, I will anyhow support you. Meanwhile, Mahapashva, he said, oh, why didn't you simply take advantage of Sita? Why did you wait so long? And that is when Ravan tells about his curses. And then Indrajit, when Vibhishan was talking and telling him that he should give back Sita, Indrajit interjects and he abuses his own uncle. And then Vibhishan, he feels very disturbed and he decides to leave the company of Ravan, and he goes and he surrenders to Lord Sri Ramchandra. So Lord Sri Ramchandra accepts the surrender of Vibhishan, and he gives full protection to Vibhishan. Of course, the famous verse Sakradeva Prapannaya Tavasmi Tichayachate Abhyam Sarvada Tasmai Dadami Etat Vratam Mama, or Abhyam Sarvabhutebhyo Dadami Etat Vratam Mama. Vibhishan was accepted, he was consecrated right there in the shore of the ocean. Then Ramachandra and the Vanaras, they were discussing with Vibhishan how to cross the ocean, and that is when Vibhishan, he saw a success formula, which was Sharnagati, and so he told Ram, you also do Sharnagati towards the ocean. But then, of course, that Sharnagati was a big failure. Because we don't do Sharnagati to ocean personified, rather we do the Sharnagati towards Lord Ramchandra. And there was also a particular messenger of Ravan by the name Shuka who was sent, and he was captured by the Vanaras and he was treated very badly by the Vanaras. And after the ocean was, the pride of the ocean was subdued, the ocean revealed, Samudra Raj, he revealed the method to cross the ocean. He said, among you, there is this son of the architect by the name Nala. You'll be able to build a bridge. So the Vanara Sane, they get ready to build the beautiful bridge, and the Ramasetu is constructed all the way till the land of Lanka. So we have different episodes that happened during the construction of the bridge. And they finally reach the Lanka island. And there Ramchandra sees different omens. He's able to visualize that Lanka is going to get destroyed. He tells the army to start getting arranged. He gives instructions that they should start getting arranged in a particular fashion, which is the Garuda Vyuha. So he gives these instructions, and then Shuka is released because he was captured. He's released and he goes and he gives a report to Ravan. Meanwhile, Ravan, he also sends two other messengers, Shuka and Sarana, and they go and they spy on the army. And they're caught by Vibhishan and the Vanaras. And again, they are tortured. That is when Ram tells it's okay if they are messengers and they want information, give all the information they want. Let them know everything about us. I don't care. So Shukra Sarana, they get everything, and then they go and they start glorifying Ramchandra, and Ravan is very upset with them and he abuses them and he sends them away. Then again, he sends Shardula along with other spies, and they also get caught by Vibhishan, and they find out all the information about the army, and they tell about the details of Ram's army to Ravan. Hearing the great details of the Vanara scene, Ravan first he wants to mentally, disturb Sita. So he calls on to Vidyut Jihva, and he tells Vidyut Jihva, why don't you conjure some tricks? And Vidyut Jihva creates an illusory head and bow of Ramchandra and presents it in front of Sita, and Sita begins to lament. But then Sarama, who's a well-wisher, she comes and she consoles Sita, saying that this is only an illusion. And then she also offers help. She says, if you want, what I can do is I can go all the way to Ram's army and pass on some information that you would like to share with your husband. But Sita says, no, first and foremost thing I want to know is I want to know if the war will be stopped. So why don't you go and find out what plans Ravan has? Does he have plans of dropping the idea of the war? But then Sarama, she goes to the palace and she spies on what they are talking, and she sees that even Ravan's mother Kaikasi was also trying to advise him, but Ravan would not listen. Even Malyavan was also trying to advise him, but Ravan stayed adamant. So Ravan, he said, I'm not going to give up Sita at any cost, and he gives instructions for the army to be formed. Hearing the information that he gets about the formation of Ravana's army, Ramachandra, he also gives instructions as to how their army should be situated so that they can give an equal battle to Ravan. And then when all this is happening, they are camped at Mount Suvela, and our Sugriv and Ramchandra, they were taking a view of what was seen from Mount Suvela, and in a distance they saw the Trikuta mountain where Ravana's palace was situated. And Ravana was very happily sitting in the balcony. And Sugriva, the minute he sees Ravan, he gets very angry and he jumps onto the Trikuta mountain and he tries to fight with Ravan. And he becomes very strong. The fight is so severe that he starts pouncing on him and biting him and tearing him and doing all that. And Ravan is so annoyed with the way Sugriva was fighting, and then Ravan vanishes. He vanishes, and that is when he starts doing Maya Yuddha. And Sugriv says, "Okay, this is enough," and he goes back to Ram. And Ram mildly admonishes Sugriva, saying that you should not do this in an impulsive way. Don't behave like a monkey. We should. What will happen if I lose you? Then what will be the whole use of us coming to Lanka and fighting this war for the sake of Sita if I don't have, if you are dead, what's the use of everything? Everything will be spoiled. So he tells Sugriv to be a little more calm and follow instructions and don't do anything impulsively. So then they all take positions as discussed. And then Ramachandra, before fighting the war, it's an etiquette that you also send a messenger one final time to see if really the war should be fought or not. And for that, he sends Angada. And Ravan, his usual stunt, right? Any messenger who comes, he captures them and he says this person should be killed. So that's what he tries to do to Angada. But then, as some demons are catching hold of Angada on all sides, Angada jumps to the roof and shakes off these demons. He shows his power and he comes back to Ram and he tells the war is certain. So the war commences, and Ramchandra issues his command to all the Vanara Sena, and they started fighting very intensely, so much so that the fight continued even in the night. Now, this is a war with the Rakshasas, and the Rakshasas are very powerful in the night, so it is normal for the war to continue in the night. But then, on the very first day, Indrajit, who was the very capable son of Ravan and who was very adept in doing illusory warfare, he shot the Nagastra, and the Nagastra actually hits Ram and Lakshman, and Ram and Lakshman are completely captured by the Nagastra. Meanwhile, what he does is he goes and tells the news to his father Ravan, saying that on the very first day of the battle, Ram and Lakshman are killed, everything is over. And then Ravana, he decides to that Sita should be notified. So he tells, okay, go and tell Sita that it's over on the very first day. And then some demonesses, they come, they take an airplane, and that is the Pushpak Viman. So they keep Sita in the Pushpak Viman, and then they fly to the place where the war is happening. And Sita is shown the condition of Ram and Lakshman, and they speak very harsh words, saying that, see, you thought that your husband will come and save you, but this is their condition. Sita begins to lament in various ways, and then Sarama, she consoles Sita and she tells three reasons why nothing has happened to Ram and Lakshman. She says, if you look at their faces, the Tejas is still there, which means their life hasn't left. Secondly, the Vanaras are actually guarding them, which means their life is still there. Otherwise, why will they guard Ram and Lakshman? Rather, they would have ran away. That is the second reason. And the third reason is that this Pushpak Viman will not carry a woman who has lost her husband. So the very fact that you're standing in the Pushpak Viman itself means that your husband is alive. And slowly, Ramchandra he regains consciousness, but then Lakshman is still in a swoon, and he feels very bad. And they are talking about different treatment options. Sushena, who is the elderly Vanara and who's a doctor, he talks about different options. He tells that two, three Vanaras should go to the ocean of milk, and there in the middle of the ocean of milk, there is Dronagiri and Chandragiri, and especially Hanuman should go to that particular place and pick certain herbs, which is, I think he specifically tells about Mrita Sanjeevani and Vishalyakarani. So they have to bring these two herbs, and that way Ram and Lakshman can be released from the Nagapasha. So, but then when they were discussing like that, suddenly there was a huge sound. Etasmin antare vayor meghancha pi savidyut Paryasyan Sagaretoyam Kampayan Iva Parvatan. Everything started vibrating, and it was appearing like as if there is a huge earthquake and something big is coming in the sky. And who was coming in the sky? It was our most beautiful Garuda Suparna, who has beautiful wings. He came, and what did he do? He came and he released. Actually, when he was coming itself, the Nagapashas they started cutting off, but everything was getting released. And Garuda comes, and with his very beautiful wings, he caresses the bodies of Lakshman and Ram, and he embraces them. And Ramchandra asks him, "Who are you?" And he says, "I am your friend and servant." That's how he introduces himself. And he smiles, and Ramchandra also smiles, but they don't want to reveal. Lord Ram never wanted to reveal his identity, but then at the same time, Garuda, somehow or the other, he wanted to perform service. So he comes. Okay. So like this Garuda, who's Shigra Vikrama, very swift and flying, who's Suparna, having very beautiful wings, who had just healed Ram's wounds in the presence of the Vanaras, having paid obeisances to Ram, he and embraced him, he goes back. Okay. So now the Vanaras were all very excited because they were revived. Who was revived? Ram and Lakshman were revived. And we saw a great lesson in that particular section that why should Ram fall in the battle, right? On the very first day. I mean, he's the supreme personality of God, and he said, Pishashan, Danavan, Yakshan, with a flick of my finger, I will destroy everybody. He said all that, but then why does he have to fall on the very first day? The answer given is because Ram wants to teach us by example. A devotee sometimes might have to go through certain very strong reversals, so much so that it's even to the point of one's death, that kind of reversals. A devotee may go, but then the devotee will emerge successfully eventually. But those who do not stick to dharma, it may appear that they are very, very successful, but at the end they have a fall. So, this is the lesson that Lord Ramchandra wants to teach us. So, always stick to dharma, perform whatever is necessary. Yes, devotees are tested terribly, and there could be horrible reversals to the point of one's death. But then the devotee eventually, we don't know when, maybe 10 years, 5 years, 6 years, we don't know. But the devotee, his life will be successful. So that is the message that is given in the Ramayana. Okay. I think we have to continue from here, right? Or did we cover more? Yeah. Yeah, we have to cover from here. Okay, now we'll continue from here. So it was still the first day of the battle, and it had become night by the time Ram and Lakshman were revived from the Nagapasha. It was night of day one of battle. So now the Vanaras, they were all rejoicing. They were so excited that their two lords were back, and the cries of the Vanaras was heard till the palace. So Ravana was very confused because he had heard from his son that they are gone, they are stuck by Nagastra, there's no chance of revival. But then Ravan was so confused. He thought, what happened? And he asked some demons to go and find out what happened. And the demons, they mount on the defense walls, that is, they climb on the walls to see what's happening. And they see that Ram and Lakshman have actually been revived from these arrows. The shackles have been broken. So they go running and they inform Ravan that actually Ram and Lakshman are alive and their wounds are completely healed and they look like two strong elephants. And Ravan is completely shocked. His face turns pale. Then he calls for his very favorite associate, Dhumraksha, a very strong demon, and he tells Dhumraksha, you go now to the warfield and you kill Ram and Lakshman. So Dhumraksha, along with his entire army, they enter the western gate of Lanka where the great Vanara Hanuman was stationed. So Dhumraksha, he enters the battlefield, and when he was entering the battlefield itself, there were many, many strong omens that were seen. Obviously, he's going to die. So there were so many strong omens that he felt, and he felt very, very disturbed. And Dhumraksha, he begins the war. He begins to attack all the Vanaras. And the Vanara and Dhumraksha battle was so intense that so many demons and Vanaras were killed in that particular battle that was headed by him. Dhumraksha, he pounces on Hanuman, and finally Hanuman, he pounces on Dhumraksha's chariot and he breaks Dhumraksha's chariot into pieces. And then Dhumraksha, he hits Hanuman with his mace, and Hanuman, who has an energy that is equivalent to the wind god, he was not disturbed by the blow of Dhumraksha's mace, but he could withstand it because he is the son of the wind god. Then Dhumraksha, he was standing trying to fight with Hanuman, and Hanuman picks a huge rock and he charges at Dhumraksha and he strikes that rock on the limbs of Dhumraksha, and Dhumraksha's limbs are shattered and he falls on the ground crumbling. So like this, Dhumraksha is killed. So this Dhumraksha, he was a very powerful, very, very powerful demon, but he was killed in the hands of our dear Hanuman. And then this news was relayed to Ravan, saying that Dhumraksha is also killed. Ravan was very upset, and then next he sent Vajradhamsha. So this Vajradhamsha, he came with an entire army towards the southern gate. And who was stationed in the southern gate? It was Angada. And the Angada's troops and the Vajradhamsha, they were having a very, very terrible fight. Angada, he fought with terrible demons, and he was chopping off their heads, holding rocks and trees. And finally, he was able to catch hold of Vajradhamsha. He knocked off his head and he killed him. So Angada was also successful. So Dhumraksha and Vajradhamsha, both of them were killed by Hanuman and Angada respectively. So day one of battle complete. Now, the second day of battle. On the second day, Ravana was very troubled because he thought that on the very first day he finished Ram and Lakshman, but then Ram and Lakshman came alive and all his powerful army people, one by one, they were falling. So Ravana, on the second day, he sends Akampana. Now, this Akampana, he was the one who ran away from the battle during the fight with Karadushana, Trichiras, and other demons. He was the one who first came and gave the news to Ravan that Ram and Lakshman fought with the 14,000 demons in Janastan. Then only Shurpanakha came. So first the person who came was Akampana. So this is the same Akampana who came to the battlefield. And when he was entering the battlefield, also he visualized various bad omens. You all know these different omens, like the one's left eye twitching and so on. And the beasts and the birds were crying and howling as he was entering the battlefield. There was a deadly war that happened between the Vanaras and the demons in the presence of Akampana. And Kumuda, Nala, Mainda, and all these Vanaras, they were fighting nicely with all the demons and they were killing many, many demons. Then Akampana, he goes and he starts shooting many arrows at the Vanaras. And Hanuman, he comes and rescues all those Vanaras at whom multiple arrows are shot. There was a great fight, one-on-one fight between Akampana and Hanuman. And Akampana, he shot so many arrows towards Hanuman, and Hanuman was fighting with trees. So Hanuman was evading those arrows with trees, and finally he catches hold of a huge tree and he strikes the charioteer of Akampana. Then next Hanuman, he picks another tree and he chops off, he smashes the head of Akampana, and Akampana falls dead. So the third one, Akampana, was also killed. So now fourth, next. Ravan, he asks Prahasta to go to the battle. Now Prahasta, he enters the war field with a huge army through the eastern gate. Again, bad omens appear as Prahasta was entering the battlefield. And the army of the Vanaras, they got hold of rocks and trees, and because that was the only what do you call weapon they had, so they were catching hold of trees and rocks, and they were trying to attack all the demons. And seeing this Prahasta fighting with all the Vanaras, Ramachandra was very amazed. So he was smiling and he was asking Vibhishan, who is this demon? He has such a huge body and he's coming with such great speed and he appears to be very victorious. Who is he? I want to know more about him. So that time he tells, tell me more about this demon. And at that time, Vibhishan, he tells Ram that actually he's a very strong personality and he's guarded by two-thirds of the army of Lanka. He's like a commander in chief and he's a demon of great prowess. And not only can he fight with the regular weapons, he can also fight with mystic weapons. And he's very courageous. So nobody can stand in front of him in the battle. He is indeed the army general of Ravana. So the Vanaras, they were fighting very, very heavily with Prahasta. They were throwing stones and rocks towards Prahasta. And finally, Prahasta came in front of the army general of the Vanaras. Who's the army general of the Vanaras? It is the Vanara Neela. So Neel and Prahasta, they came face to fight. So Prahasta started attacking Neela, throwing several weapons at him, and Neel finally he kills Prahasta's horses by hurling a huge tree and he breaks Prahasta's bow. Finally, he picks up a huge rock and then he hurls it at Prahasta's head, and Prahasta's head is smashed and cut into several pieces and he dies. So all the other demons, seeing that even Prahasta is being killed, they get very worried. They abandon the battlefield and they go running towards Lanka. So this was all happening on the morning of the second day. So, hearing that even his great commander in chief was killed, Ravana was so angry. The information was given to him in the palace. He was so angry in his heart. He was filled with grief and he told to all the leaders who were sitting around him that today, it was the second day. So he says, today itself, I will go to the battlefront without any hesitation and I will destroy our enemies and gain victory. Just as a forest is consumed by blazing forest fires, I will burn that army of Vanaras along with that Ram and Lakshman with all my arrows. Today itself, I will satiate this earth with blood of the Vanaras. So having said that, Ravan, he ascends his chariot and his chariot is yoked with excellent horses. Remember when he went to fetch Sita, that time it was yoked with donkeys, right? This time it is yoked with horses. So he comes to the battlefield and he is accompanied by some of his favorite warriors. And as he was entering the battlefield with his favorite warriors, at that time Ramachandra, he looks at Vibhishan and he asks Vibhishan, oh, it appears that somebody is coming along with some warriors. So tell me more about them. Who are these people? So that is when Vibhishan, he tells Ram, that hero who has a face of coppery color that resembles a new sun coming on the back of an elephant is called as Akampana 2. There are two Akampanas. One Akampana is already dead. This is Akampana version 2. So there's one more Akampana and he was coming with a reddish face sitting on an elephant. Then he said, The one who's standing on a chariot holding a beautiful bow, and his chariot bears the image of lion and elephant with terrible curved tusks, know him to be Indrajit, the one who had received boons from Brahma. He's the son of Ravan. Then he tells the other hero who's there with Ravan. He's a great archer. He's standing on the chariot. He has a huge bow. He has an exceedingly overgrown body, and he's called as Atikaya. Atikaya, body is huge. That's the meaning of his name. So, like this Vibhishan, he also identifies other demons who are accompanying Ravan, like Mahodhara, Pishacha, Rishiras, Nikumba, Nirantaka, and so on. And their bodily features is described by Vibhishan to Lord Ramachandra. And finally, he shows in the center of all these great heroes, you see a personality coming in the chariot. That is Ravan. You see, he's decked with a crown. He's the one who brought even Indra, who's the lord of all the demigods, and Vaivasvata, the Yamaraj, basically, the lord of death, under control. And he has this countenance, beautiful face that is graced by shining earrings, and his stature, his body built is like that of the Vindhya mountains. He know him to be Ravana. So when Ramchandra heard all the description of all these Rakshasas, especially looking at Ravana, he was thinking, wow. He was thinking, what glory, what majesty this Ravana has. Aho Deepto Mahateja Ravano Rakshasheshwara. So he's glorifying Ravan. Look at what majesty he has, how he appears. Actually, Ravan, he was beaming like the sun, and it was so difficult to gaze at Ravan. So Ramchandra was telling, alas, he has everything, but then he also has one terrible character, which is he is overly empowered by lust. Then Ramchandra says he is the one who kidnapped my Sita, so he will not be spared in the battle. So Ravana, as he was entering, along with all his associates, he dismissed his army generals in various directions so that they could go in different directions and fight. And then Ravana, he split through the army of the Vanaras, the sea of monkeys. So it was appearing like there was an ocean of Vanaras, and Ravana was splitting through that ocean, just like how when a gigantic fish comes in the ocean, it just splits through the waters and it moves. So, like that, Ravana, he was moving through the army of all these ocean of Vanaras. And he was holding a beautiful bow. And Sugriva, the minute he saw Ravana coming, he thought he should be the first one to attack. So he tears up a mountain top and he runs towards this king of demons, who is Ravana, to attack him. So when that big mountain top was hurled at Ravan, Ravan quickly breaks it with his arrows and golden shafts. And Ravan, he takes an arrow, and which is as fast as the thunderbolt of Indra, and he starts shooting those arrows towards Sugriva. So this was the analogy given is these arrows, they went so fast shooting Sugriva, like as it was like the spear of Guha, who discharged his spear towards the Krauncha mountain. So this Guha is none other than Lord Kartikeya. So it's not the Guha of Ramayana, rather it is Kartikeya, one of the names of Kartikeya's Guha, and he carries a spear. So he once threw a spear towards the Krauncha mountain and he destroyed it. So like that, the arrows that were coming from Ravana's bow was like the spear of Guha that was destroying the Krauncha mountain. So it was a very beautiful analogy. Anyway, many other Vanaras started coming near Ravan, like Gavaksha, Gavaya, Sushena, Rishabha, Jyotirmukha, Nala. All of them, they picked up rocks and they were trying to attack Ravan in various ways. But however, our Rakshasa Ravan, the lord of all demons, with hundreds and thousands of arrows with sharp points, He rendered all their rocks and hilltops fruitless. He shattered them with his golden shafted arrows. So, like this, he threw arrows in all directions, and all the Vanaras, they were trembling. Actually, the words are Shakamriga Ravana Sayakartha Jagmu Sharanyam Sharanam Smaramam. So, they were so terribly tormented by all these different arrows that were thrown by the arms of Ravan. They went running, all these Vanras. They couldn't handle Ravan. They went running and they took shelter of Lord Ramachandra. So when Ramachandra he saw that all the Vanaras were coming towards him and taking shelter, immediately he decided that he will be the one who will go and face Ravan. So he decided to take his bow and walk towards Ravan, and that is when Lakshmana, who is his eternal servitor, he stops Ramchandra. He tells, my dear brother, you always take care, you always go in the front, you face the war, you face the Rakshasas. But this time, I want to go and face Ravana. So please allow me to fight. So even earlier in Janastan, when Lord Ramchandra was facing the 14,000 Rakshasas, he told Lakshman to go and sit on a hilltop and keep Sita safe. He said, I will do it myself. I don't need help. But this time, Lakshman said that you do it always yourself, but I want to help. Give me an opportunity. I want to go and fight with Ravan. So he says, oh Lord, I want to kill him. Permit me to do so. And Ramchandra agrees and he allows Lakshman to go. But then he says, okay, Lakshman, go, but you should be very alert in this fight. Huh? Should be extremely cautious because Ravana is very powerful. And especially in a war, nobody can stand in front of him. In fact, he is known to have conquered the three worlds. So you should be extra cautious, understand his weak points, and guard your own weak points. So this is so important, right? It's a very nice advice for a person who's going to a war field. You should know the weak points of your opponent. At the same time, you should not reveal your weakness. You should guard your own weaknesses. So he says, defend yourself vigilantly with your eye and bow. So, hearing these nice words from Ram, Lakshman embraces him. He offers obeisances. He bids farewell to Ramchandra and then he goes to face Ravan. Lakshman, he saw Ravana appearing in front of him with arms that were as large as huge trunks of elephant, and he was holding a terrible, terrible bow. And meanwhile, Ravan was actually, Lakshmana was walking towards Ravana, and Ravana was shooting arrows towards all the Vanaras. Actually, that was the scene, right? He was shooting arrows at the Vanaras. Some of the Vanaras, they went and they took shelter of Ramchandra. Ramchandra said, okay, I will go face him. And that's when Lakshman stops him and he says, no, 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 give me a chance. I will go face him. So when Lakshman was going towards Ravan, he was seeing that Ravana was shooting so many arrows at the Vanaras. And seeing the rain of arrows that were falling like this on all the Vanaras, even before Lakshman could approach him, Hanuman, who's Vayuputra, he saw all his friends being tormented by the arrows and he rushes towards Ravana so that that rain of arrows can come to an end. So, approaching his chariot, Ravana's chariot, Hanuman, he lifted his right arm and he started to threaten Ravana. He showed his right arm and he started threatening Ravana. He said, hey Ravan, you have boons that the Devas, demons, Gandharvas, Yakshas, Nagas, they cannot do anything to you. But remember, you didn't ask a boon from that you would be immune from the Vanaras. We are Vanaras. We are a big danger to you. So Hanuman says, now I will kill you. And also Ravana had seen the prowess of Hanuman because it was this Hanuman that came and burnt Lanka, right? So Hanuman was raising his arms and he was telling, I am going to kill you today. So hearing these words of Hanuman, Ravana, he told, hey, little monkey, seriously, you're going to kill me? I will just give you one free hit, huh? One free hit and you will go falling. So hearing the words of Ravan, Hanuman said, hey Ravana, recollect who I am. I was the one who came and burned down your entire Ashokavan. I fought with your son Aksha. and I've killed so many of your people. So while Hanuman was talking like this, Ravana, he strikes Hanuman with his palm violently. And when he was struck by Ravan's palms, Hanuman, he loses balance. Then he secures his balance and he gets very angry and he strikes Ravana with his palm. And under the violent impact of the blow of Hanuman, even Ravana also shakes like a mountain, like as if there is an earthquake. And then Ravan, he regains his breath and he says, okay, well done. You're quite a good match. And you're very brave, not bad. Good job. And then Hanuman says to Ravan, you're foolish. Why are you simply boasting? Now come and strike me. Hearing this words from Hanuman, Ravana starts beating Hanuman's chest, and under shock because he's being beaten up so much, Hanuman falls down. So all this is happening when Ravana was when Lakshman was walking towards Ravana. All this was happening. Hanuman went and he tried to protect all the Vanaras. So now Hanuman was exhausted. He was beaten in his chest and he was exhausted and he falls down. So now Ravana thought that he will take on Nila, who's the commander in chief. So he turns his chariot towards Nila, and with his terrible arrows, Ravana starts attacking Nila in various ways. And Nila was tormented by the arrows of Ravan, and Nila was picking up rocks and he was trying to throw it at Ravan. Meanwhile, Hanuman, again, who had fallen down, he gathered courage and he regained his breath and he cried out to Ravan. He said, hey, Ravan, it is not proper to engage. When you're engaging in a fight with one person, you are not even completed with me. You are fighting with me. You didn't get completed with me. I just fell down for a moment and you are happily you're going to fight with somebody else. You're leaving me and going. No, you have to come and fight with me. But however, meanwhile, Neela was throwing a huge rock towards Ravan, and Ravana shatters that rock of Neela. He cuts that rock into pieces, and then Neela, he was not even caring for Hanuman, and he was busy fighting with Neela. And Neela, he was hurling Ashwakarna trees, Shala trees, Chuta trees, and so many various kinds of trees. And Ravana was bursting these trees into pieces with his arrows. Then Neela, he's very smart. What he did was he reduced his size because only if he's big, this fight is going to go on like this, right? So he reduces his size and he starts jumping like a little cat, he becomes small and he starts jumping on Ravana's chariot. So sometimes he was on Ravana's chariot, sometimes he was on the tip of the bow, sometimes he was on the head of the crown, sometimes he was on the flag. So like that, Neela was jumping from one point to another and he was giving Ravana a tough time. So just like sometimes it is so difficult when there is a mosquito. Even if there is a huge, say, something that you can hold on to, some little cat or a dog, you can go and catch it. But then if there's a little mosquito that is troubling you, you just cannot deal with it. It is so frustrating. So that is how Hanuman was feeling when Neela became tiny and he started jumping from one place to the other. So Neela, he started throwing all these trees and other things, and Ravana was bursting these trees and rocks into pieces as Neela was jumping from one place to the other. And Ravan didn't know how to catch him. And finally, the people who were looking, they were also astonished. Actually, by now, Lakshman had reached that place, and Lakshman was so astonished. Hanuman was so astonished. Ramachandra was also astonished. What kind of fight is this? And Ravana was also amazed. He was also looking at Neela's agility. He was so quick. He was jumping. And finally, he thought it's time to put an end to this Neela. So he picks up the Agnyastra, the weapon of fire. He picks that up and he aims at little Neela, who's on the tip of the chariot. He was jumping from one place to another. And finally, Ravan caught hold of an aim and he shot the Agnyastra. And when he was shooting the Agnyastra, he said, you're trying to do magic with me? See what I am going to do to you. And he shoots that Agnyastra towards Neela. Who's Neela? Neela is the army general, that is fine, but he's also the son of the fire god. So, what can Agnyastra do to the son of fire god? It cannot do anything. So, he was burning in fire. Neela, fully he was burning, but still he didn't die. He just fell unconscious. And then Ravana, he looked at him and he thought, I have to fight with the next person. And he spotted Lakshman. So now Lakshman had come close to him. So seeing Lakshman, he was ready to take on Lakshman. And Lakshman, he lifted his bow. And Lakshman said, come to me, come face to me. Stop fighting with the Vanaras. Then Ravana went close to him and he said, oh, you are that Lakshman. Finally, I get to see you. See how I will attack you. And he starts shooting various arrows. And Ravana is scolding him, telling him, what's the use of you boasting, conquer me in a war and then talk. And then Ravana shoots arrows at Lakshman and they had a dreadful battle. There was non-stop shooting of arrows, and there were various arrows of Ravan that was broken by Lakshman. Arrows like Kura, Ardhachandra, Karni, and Bhalla. All these are different arrows that were used, and all these arrows were broken by Lakshman. So, like this, Lakshman and Ravan, they were continuing to fight, and Ravan struck Lakshman's forehead with the Kalagni Astra that was bestowed to him by Brahma. And struck by Ravana's arrow, Lakshman actually he loses balance for some time, but then he comes back to consciousness with difficulty, and then he shatters that Kalagni weapon that was belonging to Ravan. Then Lakshman struck Ravan with three-pointed arrows, and Ravan was pierced by those arrows and he swoons, but then he regained his senses with difficulty. And Ravana's hands and legs, they were pierced by the different arrows that were shot by Lakshman. It was covered with blood. So now Ravana, he was so upset with Lakshman that he finally picked up the great Shakti weapon. It's a very, very powerful weapon, the weapon of Shakti. It was also gifted to him by Brahma. So now Ravan, he hurls that Shakti weapon. It was like a spear. He hurls it. It was emitting smoke and it was going towards Lakshman. It was as bright as fire. It was frightening all the Vanaras who were around. And finally, Lakshmana, who is the younger brother of Bharata, was struck by that Shakti weapon, that spear that was released by Ravan. It went and pierced his broad chest, and that mighty Lakshman was struck to the earth. He was lying on earth, being struck by the Shakti weapon. Now, this verse says that he was the brother of Bharata, the brother of Bharata. He was the younger brother of Bharata, was struck by the Shakti weapon and he fell down on the ground. So, Ravana, when Lakshman was fallen like that, Ravana goes and he rushes towards Lakshman so that he can capture him and take him captive. And he thinks that if I take him captive, Ram will eventually die, thinking that something has happened to Lakshman. So he goes and he catches hold of Lakshman and he tries to lift Lakshman. He seizes Lakshman and tries to lift him. But then you think Ravan was able to lift Lakshman? No. Already our author Valmiki told that you cannot lift him because he said he's the son of Bharat. Uh, this Ravan was not able to lift Lakshman, but he was able to lift even Himavat, that is the Himalayas. He's the one who was able to shake the Himalayas. So strong he was. He was able to move the Mandara mountains and the Meru mountains, but he was so strong, but he was not able to lift this Lakshman. So Bhara means very heavy, that which is filled up, that is very, very heavy. Bharata was holding the heavy burden of the kingdom on his head. Now, this Lakshman's bhakti is bhar. It's full. It is bhar. It is full of service to the Lord. So he becomes very, very heavy when a non-devotee is trying to touch him or pull him. So Ravana was unable to lift the heavy brother of Bharata, who was so heavy in devotion. And this Lakshman is the same Shesha who's holding the heavy universes, Brahmandas and Bhumandala on his head. And these Bhumandala, it is appearing like a tiny mustard seed. You can imagine his power. If Ravana is able to shake mountains, it is our Lakshman. Lakshman is supremely more powerful than any Ravan. So, why Ravan couldn't lift him. There is a discussion that is being made by the acharyas. They say, when you approach a great devotee, you should approach a devotee with love, not with a careless attitude. If we think we can handle a devotee any way we like, he will keep away from us and we will be deprived of his mercy. Ravan couldn't even move him, even an inch, even a tiny centimeter, he couldn't move. So you should be very careful when you approach devotees. Unless the devotee gives mercy, we cannot do anything with that devotee. So Hanuman, seeing this condition of Lakshman and seeing how Ravan was trying to push him, he got very angry. He got very angry. Hanuman is also a great devotee. So he just couldn't tolerate the way Lakshman was lying down and Ravan was trying to take him captive. And he rushes towards Ravan and he starts striking Ravan on his chest with his fist. And by that blow of Hanuman, Ravan, he just falls down on his knees. He's not able to handle the blow of Hanuman because Hanuman was extremely angry at this point in time. How dare you touch Lakshman? So that was the anger Hanuman had. And a lot of blood oozed out from his face, eyes, and ears as he was being struck by Hanuman. Ravan became motionless. Then Hanuman went to Lakshman and very easily he lifted up Lakshman in his arms and he brought him to the presence of Ram. So the same Lakshman was so heavy for a demon of immense strength. He was so powerful, Ravan. He was not even able to move him 1 centimeter. But then he became so light for an ordinary Vanara like Hanuman because of the friendship and the great devotion Hanuman had towards him. And then immediately that spear that had hit Lakshman was dislodged. It was removed from Lakshman's chest and it was thrown out. And then Lakshman was revived after being hit by the Shakti weapon. Meanwhile, Ravan was struck on his chest by Hanuman, and slowly he also regained his consciousness. And he again picked up his arrows and bow. And when Ramchandra saw Lakshman in that condition, when Lakshman was brought to him in that condition, Ramchandra could not tolerate that his devotees were attacked. Hanuman was attacked. Lakshman was attacked. So many members of the Vanara Sena were overthrown in the battlefield. So Ramchandra got very angry. When his devotees are tormented, Lord Ram cannot tolerate it. Lord Ram will keep quiet if he is attacked, but then if his devotees are attacked, he is not going to keep quiet. So he rushes towards Ravan. And Hanuman saw that Ram was rushing towards Ravan and he went and told Ram, my dear Ram, you have to punish that demon. But then I want to serve you when you're punishing that demon. So please climb on my back, just like how Vishnu rides on Garuda. So they are the famous two Vahans of the Lord. One is Garuda, the other is Hanumat Vahana. So Hanuman says, I will be your Vahan, and you have to climb on my back and go and fight with him. And Ramchandra, he agrees and he mounts on Hanuman and he rushes towards Ravan and he calls out to Ravan with a deep resounding voice and he tells, oh Ravan, now it's time for you to face me. It is me, the same Ram who killed all your 14,000 soldiers in Janastan. So now hearing these words of Ram, Ravan collected how his brothers Karadosha and Trishras, they were all killed by all those fiery arrows that were shot from the bow of Lord Ramachandra. So Ravan, in great anger, he started shooting arrows. And how he handled the situation is Ravan, when he saw that Ramchandra was riding on Hanuman, his focus became on Hanuman. Because the minute he saw Hanuman, he was reminded of how Hanuman came and burnt Lanka. So instead of shooting Ram directly, he started striking Hanuman with arrows. And Hanuman was carrying the Lord. And when Hanuman was struck with so many arrows, Lord Ramchandra got very, very angry. Very angry. Nothing happened to Hanuman because Hanuman was absorbed in the Lord's service. But then, seeing that the devotee was attacked, Lord Ramchandra got extremely angry. So these are the points, turning points. Whenever his devotee is tormented, Lord Ram becomes very angry and he decides to put an end. He decides to chastise his enemy. So he just couldn't see his devotee being hurt like this. And Ram could tolerate any number of arrows on himself. But then, if he sees that his devotee is not treated properly, he gets furious. So now Ramchandra, he released a series of arrows and he started shattering Ravana's chariot wheels, the horses, the banner, canopy, charioteer, spears, swords, everything he started shattering within a few minutes. He got so angry because his devotee was attacked. He's with great force. He started shattering everything and he released a weapon right on Ravana that struck his chest, and Ravana fell down because of the impact of the arrow that was shot by Ram. Now, at this point, at this point, if at all Ravan had kept his bow down and if he had surrendered to Ram right there and told that, he didn't have any desire to continue the war, Ravana would have actually won the battle because Ramchandra would have given him shelter right there. When we lose in front of the Lord, that is when we actually win. This is what my Guru Maharaj says. When you have to lose in front of the Lord, that is when you actually win. So, because how do we win? Because the Lord accepts us and He sees to it that we are really victorious. However, Ravana was not so fortunate. He could have done that. He could have just given his bow and he could have surrendered to Ram and he could have truly won the battle. That is the real battle of life he could have won. But he didn't do that. He didn't have the heart to give up and surrender. But Ramchandra was very compassionate. Seeing that Ravana was swooning, this magnanimous Lord Ramchandra, he took up a blazing arrow, and his arrow is like Ardhachandra. Okay, that is his arrow. It's like the crescent moon. So, taking up that arrow that is like a crescent moon, he shot it towards the blazing sun like diadem, that is the crown of Ravan, and that crown was thrown into the ocean, they say. Okay, so basically, it's a beautiful comparison. Ram's arrow was like a half moon, and Ravan's crown was like the sun. So Ramachandra, he just took an arrow and he shot that arrow, and it's called as Makuta Bhangam. That means the Makuta, the crown that is being destroyed. So it's a great insult for a king. Uh, so that's what Ramchandra did. He still didn't fully kill him. He just took off the Makuta Bhangam. And Ramchandra told Ravana, you have accomplished many, many terrific feats, and you have defeated so many brave warriors in the army. But however, the sun is about to set now, and you appear very tired. You have lost your weapons, and you have fallen down into the ground helplessly in this condition. When you are helpless in this condition, when you are helpless, I don't want to attack you. When a person is without weapons, when a person is not armed properly, according to the code of warfare, one should not attack him. So I'm not willing to attack you now. He says, Prayahi janami ranardhitastastvam pravishya rathiracha rajalankam avishya niryahi rati cha dhanvi tada balam prekshayasi me. So, Prekshayasi me rathastha. So he says, O king of demons, Ravan, I know that you're tired and you are on the battle. So now you return to Lanka. Having regained your breath, come back in your chariot and your bow, and then standing on your chariot, you come and fight with me again. Come back fully equipped and then see my power. So he says, basically, there's a very famous statement where Lord Ramchandra says, today you go and come back tomorrow, right? I think in many versions of the Ramayana, they say, okay, I'll let you go today. I give you permission. Actually, those are the words. Ashwasya niryahi rati chadhanvi. Ashwasya. Ashwasya means go relax. And I give you permission. He says, I give you permission to go. Oh, Raja of Lanka, you go there. You sit in your palace tonight. take full rest and come back tomorrow and see my power. Tada balam prekshyasi me rathastha. Come and see in your chariot my true valor. But today I allow you to go and come back tomorrow. And he says, tomorrow, if you come back without any weapons, I will also not pick up my weapons and I will accept you. He tells him, he gives him a chance again. He tells that tomorrow, if you decide you don't want to come back with the weapons and you want to surrender, I will definitely accept you. I will not pick up weapons as well. So he gives him a chance. He tells him, I give you a chance. You can go, relax, and come back, but I will not kill you today. Here, Ramchandra, he decided to give Ravana a chance. And when Ravana appeared as the same Ravan, he appeared as Hiranyakashipu. Nrsingadev appeared and he had a terrible fight with Hiranyakashipu and he killed Hiranyakashipu. He didn't give Hiranyakashipu any chances. But then, as Ramachandra, he gave one chance, one more chance for surrender. And later, as Shishupal, when he appeared, he was given 100 chances by Krishna. Krishna is even more merciful. He gave him 100 chances. Here, one chance was given. As Krishna to Shishupal, he gave 100 chances. And finally, when he again came back as Jagai Madai, Lord Chaitanya, he gave him eternal chances by not killing him, but rather killing his demoniac tendency. So we see that progression, right, from Nrsingadev till Lord Chaitanya. Nrsingadev, zero chance. Lord Ramchandra, one chance. You please go and come back and surrender. Krishna, 100 chances. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, forget about chances. He didn't even kill Jagai Madai. He just cleansed their demoniac tendencies. So like that, Ravan, he was given a chance and he returns to Lanka from the battlefield. And Ram, after he returns, he arranges for a way that the arrows that were shot toward all the Vanaras, I told you, right, hundreds and thousands of Vanaras he was shooting. So he made sure that the arrows were removed from the bodies of all the Vanaras and also from Lakshman. And Lakshman was restored from the impact of the Shakti weapon. Now, Ravana, he goes back to Lanka. He was given a chance, right? He goes to the palace, and for the very first time, Ravan knew what fear is. He was struck by the fear of Ram's arrows. His pride was humbled, but his senses were troubled. He couldn't sleep. He was maddened. He was angry. He was recollecting how Ram's arrows shot him, and he thought somehow or the other. Ram gave him two choices. You can come back tomorrow without weapons and surrender, or you come back and see my courage in the battle. He gave him two options, right? But come back equipped, then you can see me fight in the battle. So he was thinking, I will conquer this Ram, but I will not surrender. That is what Ravan was thinking. And he began to get very retrospective. He was thinking about what just happened. He was thinking, how did I lose? He was thinking, I did so much penance to acquire all the worlds, but it appears that it has all gone waste. I am the great Ravana. I had so many boons that I will not be killed by the Gandharvas and the Devas and Nagas and Yakshas. Everybody. I had a boon that I won't be killed by everybody. But I lost simply because I didn't ask immunity from humans and Vanaras. Is that the reason? He's thinking, he started getting retrospective. Look at my condition. I've been defeated by a mere human. He says, I got immunity from death in the hands of demigods, demons, Nagas, Yakshas, Gandharvas, but not of humans. I didn't make a mention of humans. And there is a loophole here. Somehow I've underestimated human beings and Vanaras. So here there are a couple of reflections. One is, oftentimes in our own lives, we are advised by our well-wishers about what is right and what is wrong. But then what do? We fail to hear them attentively. We always look for things that is of immediate benefit, that will keep us happy, situations that can promote us to become the controllers. If there is any threat to our position, we become upset. When we are advised that we must not do certain activities that will result in heavy repercussions in the future, we do not take that advice seriously. When we think that we know better, who is he or she to advise me? I am the only one going through the situation, so I will handle it. Uh, if we think like that, we might not be benefited much, but then we should carefully listen. We should see if there is something really good for us in the long run. It is not about immediate solutions. It is about what is good for me in the long run. Is that advice going to help me in the long run? I should not be just thinking how I can escape from a particular situation right now. If we ignore the valuable words and if we have selective hearing, then our situation will also be like Ravan. Hmm. So Ravana, he was told several times to give back Sita again and again by everybody, including his own mother. Everybody said, "You don't know what you're getting into. Don't do this." Ramchandra is no ordinary man. He was told so many times. But then, in spite of all this selective hearing, he just wanted to hear his ministers praise him. It was a late realization for Ravan. And one day, Ravana, he realized very late. He thought that he's very smart when he was doing the penance. He took so many boons that these different classes of beings cannot disturb me. So one may think that he can outsmart demigods and great authorities like Brahma by asking several boons. But then remember, great demigods like Brahma and others, they are far smarter than us. They will keep loopholes in every place, and eventually we will be destroyed by the strength of those bones. So, even in the case of Ravan, or think about Hiranyakashipu, each one of them they had so many bones. But then in each of these bones, there were different loopholes, and the Supreme Lord could come and he could destroy the demon very easily. So we should not think we can outsmart great personalities like demigods because the Supreme Lord will solve the problem ultimately. The Lord will find a way. He will create a situation where the problem is solved, just like Hiranyakashipu. He said, I don't want to be killed in the morning or in the night, inside, outside. He put so many conditions. He thought he covered it all. But then, Lord, the Supreme Lord is far smarter. He took a special form and he came and he killed Hiranyakashipu in the form of Narsimhadev. So, however intelligent we may be, truly we don't control our lives. So, Krishna is the one who is an ultimate control. If he decides to outsmart us, our ego is crushed. So, these are some reflections that I wrote down and just telling the lessons from here based on the commentaries. So, Ravan was thinking, I asked so many boons, but it looks like I missed something, and I see that the Vanaras and humans are coming and attacking me. And then he also thought of another point. Not only did I mess up in asking boons, but I messed up with too many people and I got too many curses. Are all the curses coming together at this point? He was thinking. He was thinking that this Ram, who's come in the battlefield, he's the son of Dasharath and he's coming in the Ikshvaku dynasty. He was thinking in the past he had a curse from a king by the name Anaranya, okay, Anaranya, who was born in the Ikshvaku dynasty. When Ravan conquered Anaranya in a battle, that king told, Hey Ravan, you're a terrible demon. In my race, there will be a person who will be born and he will be the cause of your death. So he had given a curse that in his dynasty there will be a personality and that personality will be the cause of his death. So Ravan is recollecting that Anaranya once he told this, and this Ramchandra, he's from the same Ikshvaku dynasty. Of course, he was also cursed by Vedavati, who came back as Sita. Ravan is thinking, I suspect this Sita is none other than Vedavati. He's suspecting right there. And he's thinking, I was cursed by Parvati, I was cursed by Nandishwar, I was cursed by Ramba, Punjikasthala. All their words are coming true. And he thinks that the words of the sages can never prove false. So he calls on to his ministers, he discusses with them, and he tells them basically, have so many curses, I'm admitting to all of you. So now it's time for us to be very careful. We have to somehow fix the situation. It appears that all the curses are falling in place, and especially with the appearance of Lord Ram in Lanka, it appears that my end is nearing, but then we cannot let this proceed further. So we have to find a way. And then he's reminded of his great brother Kumbhakarna. So he thinks, I think I have a solution now. He says, he calls out to some of the demons and he tells them, go to the Charya mountain where my brother Kumbhakarna is sleeping, and you have to wake up Kumbhakarna. Kumbhakarna is the only person who can save us in this condition. So he tells his army that now that Prahasta is not there, he tells the army to guard the gates with great care because the commander in chief itself is not there at this point. So he gives instructions to different army people to guard the gates. He tells them to be very vigilant, and he sends a few demons to go and wake up Kumbhakarna, who is sleeping. Now, Kumbhakarna, he was just awake 9 days ago. So you know how Kumbhakarna, he comes to the palace and he advises Ravan. He says, "Oh, you shouldn't have kidnapped Sita, but then you already did it. It's okay. I will help you. Don't worry. As long as I am there, nothing can happen to you." So he spoke all this and he just went, right? 9 days back. Now Kumbhakarna can wake up only once in 6 months, but then with great difficulty, one can wake him up. Ideally, he wakes up naturally only once in 6 months. But then the order given by Ravan to all the people is somehow or the other just go and wake him up. So he says, this mighty armed Kumbhakarna is the foremost of all demons, and he'll be the one who can kill these two princes in the battle. Because if Kumbhakarna is awakened, then we will become victorious. Only he can help us in this dreadful battle. So some of these demons who heard the orders of Ravan, they briskly went to the cave of Kumbhakarna on the Charya mountain. And Kumbhakarna was sleeping inside a cave. Okay, it was a huge cave inside a mountain. And in that entire cave, he was sleeping. He was very, very big. So as these demons, they were trying to enter the cave, the door of the cave, this cave itself was one yojana on all sides, and it was decorated very beautifully. It had a lot of floral fragrances, and these demons, they were trying to enter the cave. But as they were trying to enter the door of the cave, suddenly all these demons, they started flying out in all directions. Why? Because it appeared that there were huge winds blowing out from that cave. But what really were those winds? Those winds were nothing other than the breath, the breathing of Kumbhakarna. So as he was exhaling, it was like a huge wind that was blowing, and all the demons were trying to enter the door were flying off. So that was the power of his breathing. It was like a storm. But then the demons, they carefully avoided the trajectory of that breath, and they tried to, dodge through that flow of air, and they tried to enter the cave. Now, this cave was looking very beautiful. It was decorated with gold and flowers and diamonds. And Kumbhakarna, he was sleeping very, very happily, very blissfully. And all of them, they tried to wake up Kumbhakarna. He was like a huge mountain. He had big legs and hands, and it was spreading out. He was breathing like a serpent. He was hissing, he was snoring heavily. His nostrils and mouth were big. They were looking like huge wells. And then the smell of meat was coming from his breath because he had eaten so much. And slowly, they somehow or the other, these little demons were gone, and they were trying to wake him up. So first they put a huge heap of meat in front of Kumbhakarna's nostrils. That way they can impel his appetite and make him wake up by stimulating his senses. But then Kumbhakarna didn't wake up. Then they piled up a great mass of food, of the meat of deers, buffaloes, and pigs. Some of them, they climbed on Kumbhakarna and they brought fragrant garlands and sweet smelling perfumes and sandal paste near his nostrils. They even burnt incense and they sang songs of praises near his ear. They screamed together inside his ears. They blew conches and trumpets near his ear. And then they clapped together somehow to wake him up. But it was very difficult to wake him. So they tried through the nose, then they tried through the ears, and then there were birds passing in the sky that were running hither and thither, hearing these huge sounds. The birds were getting terrified, but our Kumbhakarna was very, very happy sleeping. And Kumbhakarna did not wake up. Then what they started doing is they started throwing huge weapons on his body, like huge mazes and hammers on the chest of Kumbhakarna. For him, it was more like someone is patting him to sleep. So he was sleeping even better when people were throwing all this. And then finally, they thought that they have to make some horses run on his body. Then they made hundreds and thousands of elephants run on his body. And then finally, Kumbhakarna felt like somebody's just nudging him softly. And then he wakes up from his sleep and he began to yawn like really big. And people got scared by the yawn of Kumbhakarna. And finally, this huge figure was trying to get up. And now everybody started trembling when he was just shaking his body and he was getting ready to get up, because they knew the minute he gets up, he's going to be super hungry and he has to be fed tons and tons of meat and all kinds of food. So they had to, show lots of animals so Kumbhakarna could could just eat them alive. That's what he would do. He would just pick up the food and put it into his mouth like that. So they had to keep some animals around them ready and point to those animals. There is the food. There is the food. You can go eat it like that. So the Kumbhakarna, as he got up and he yawned, he looked at those animals and he picked them up and he started devouring everything. And as he dunked in so much meat, he began to become very thirsty and he drank the blood of all these animals. And then he gulped pitchers of wine. And then Kumbhakarna, after he was gratified by his hunger, because he was so hungry as soon as he wakes up, as he was gratified and he was calming down, that's when some of the demons, they go in front of him with their heads bowed down. They went and told Kumbhakarna that we are here, O Master. And Kumbhakarna asks them, why did you come here? I hope the king is doing well. Is there a danger for the king? Otherwise, there's no way that you're going to come and wake me up in 9 days. What's happening? What is the problem? Is he in trouble? So at that time, Yupaksha, who's one of the ministers of Ravan, he with palms joined in front of Kumbhakarna, he tells, oh Prince, there is actually no threat from demigods or anything like that. But however, there is a mere human being who's driving us crazy, and Vanaras in huge numbers who are as tall as mountains are attacking Lanka. Ram and his Vanara has come here and they are attacking Lanka for the sake of Sita Devi. So now Kumbhakarna, he was rolling his eyes and he begins to speak to Yupaksha. He says, Yupaksha, Minister, now itself I will go, and after conquering the entire army of Vanaras with Lakshman and Ram on the battlefield, I will, after finishing everybody, then I will go and see Ravan. But then Mahodhara, he steps forward and he tells Kumbhakarna that I think it's better that you first see Ravana, hear from him about the advantages and disadvantages of the matter, and based on Ravana's instructions, you go to the battlefield. And then Kumbhakarna said, okay, first I will meet Ravan, take instructions from him, and then I will go. Meanwhile, while he was getting ready to go, some of the demons, they went running to report to Ravan that Kumbhakarna is now awake. So they went and told, O king, our Kumbhakarna, your dear brother is now awakened and he wants to know where he should go, whether he should go to the battlefield or he should see you first. Ravana said, no, no, ask him to come here right now. So I want to talk to him. I want to give him instructions before he goes. So then Kumbhakarna, he washes his face and then he takes a bath. Yeah, he refreshes himself. He gets delighted, wearing nice ornaments, quenching his thirst. And then he calls some of his servants and he asks them to bring an energy drink, high loaded, what do you call this one drink like that, right? Here also, some. I forget the name. There's Boost, no, some drink. There is some, I don't know why I forgot the name. Okay, anyway, there's an energy drink that you drink. Red Bull. Ah, something like Red Bull. Yeah, so he drinks that drink so that he can boost up his strength and then he can go. And then the demons, they brought him some wine and all sorts of eatables again. And then it seems he drank 2,000 pitchers of wine before he left. Energy drink, that is his energy drink. And then Kumbhakarna, he starts off with filled energy. And where did he go? He decides to go towards the palace, palace of Ravan. So when he was walking towards the palace, now he's huge, okay? People can see him from a distance also. He's so big. And he started walking with huge steps towards the palace of Ravan. And when he was walking, Ramachandra, he catches sight of a huge personality walking like that towards the palace of Ravan. And he and some of the Vanaras also see this huge figure marching, and they are running hither and thither and trying to understand what is happening. What is this huge figure that is going? The earth is trembling. So everyone was able to see from a distance there's a huge figure going like that towards Ravana's palace, and everybody is confused. So that is when Ram he saw that this figure is wearing golden ornaments and he's having a crown. So he goes and asks Vibhishan, who is he? Is he like a real person? Who is he? And he has got such a huge body. So is he some evil spirit, or is he a demon, or who is he? I've never seen such a creature. That is what Ramchandra says. So when Ram asks Vibhishan like this, Vibhishan says that he is the powerful Kumbhakarna, who's the son of Vishwas, the brother of Ravana. And he says that this Kumbhakarna, he had conquered Yama and Indra in the battle. And there is no other demon or Rakshas in this world who is as big as him. He's got the biggest body. And he says that he has conquered thousands of demigods, demons, yakshas, nagas, gandharvas, vidyadharas, kinnaras, all the kinds of people in a battle. And this Kumbhakarna, by nature, he is very mighty and very energetic. And he tells more about his birth. He says, just after his birth, he was afflicted with hunger and he ate thousands of living creatures alive. And while all these living beings were being eaten, the people got very frightened and they sought refuge of Indra, and they even reported the matter about him. So it also happened that once he had a fight with Indra, and Indra struck Kumbhakarna with his thunderbolt, with his Vajrayuda, and Kumbhakarna, struck by Indra's thunderbolt, was quite agitated and he roared out with anger. Then Kumbhakarna, in anger, he pulled out the tusk of Airavat, which is Indra's elephant, and using that tusk, he struck Indra's chest. And that Indra was tormented by this Kumbhakarna, and all of them were aggrieved. So, this is his power. When Indra put the Vajrayudh on Kumbhakarna, of course it hit him, but then he just pulled a mere tusk of Airavat and he punched it in Indra's chest. So, this is his power. And on here, so he says that. Later, Indra, everybody, they went and complained to Brahma. And hearing all these complaints from Indra, Brahma, he ensured that when he gives boons, he gives a boon in a way that Kumbhakarna's atrocities are put to rest. We will see this in Uttarakanda. Here it is mentioned as a curse, but actually it's a boon that turned to a curse. We will see the exact story in Uttarakhand, but here it is mentioned because of humbled by Brahma's curse, Kumbhakarna fell down in front of. So basically, Kumbhakarna gets a curse that he will be sleeping 6 months a year, and only once in six. Actually, the curse is he will always be sleeping because he had eaten up so many sages and he had eaten up so many people, and he had troubled Indra and all that. So it was actually a boon that he was trying to ask, but because of misspelling the boon, it becomes a curse. Where Brahma says, yeah, you will get only sleep. You will be sleeping all your life. But then Ravana, he negotiates with the Brahma, saying that, it's not fair to put him to sleep forever. He should wake up at least once in a while. So at least once in 6 months, allow him to wake up. So the exact story, I don't want to break all the details now itself, but these details are there in Uttarakhand. So like this, these are the boons that Kumbhakarna has, that he can wake up once in 6 months, and this is his story. So now, um, after hearing about this, Vibhishan tells Ramchandra that Kumbhakarna is now going to see Ravan. And Ravana, seeing that he's going to be conquered by you, he has ensured that he has to wake up Kumbhakarna. And actually, for Kumbhakarna, waking up in between the 6 month period is not a good sign for him. Waking up for him is not a good sign, meaning he's soon going to be killed. It is not something that is good for him if it is that law is broken. But anyway, he tells, I'm telling you the truth. Who's telling? Vibhishan is telling Lord Ramachandra, I'm telling you the truth that this is actually Kumbhakarna and he is the brother of Ravana and he's a huge giant. But then when you are telling the Vanaras, don't tell them everything. Now, this is a strategy so that the army doesn't get fearful. So Vibhishan tells Ramchandra, tell the Vanaras that this is some kind of yantra, it's a robot. So tell him, and that's why they say even during the Ramayana times they were robots. Okay, because we saw yantras that were used to move the rocks and trees for building the bridge. Similarly, here also, Vibhishan is telling Ramchandra to tell the Vanaras that this is a huge yantra that is created like a human being. It's a machine that appears like a human being that is created by the Rakshasas for the sake of fighting. Robots used in fighting. That is how he introduces Kumbhakarna. So Vibhishan tells, go and tell the Vanaras like this so that they don't get agitated and become fearful, thinking, oh, this is a real Rakshas, and they'll get very demotivated. Hmm? So on hearing Vibhishan's words, Rama, he calls on to Neela and he tells, ask your army to be ready, ask them to take positions and take as many mountain tops and trees together because you're going to face a huge robot. Okay, he's going to come. So like that, on hearing Ramchandra's words, all the Vanaras, they got ready for the Operation Kumbhakarna. So they all got ready. Meanwhile, Kumbhakarna, he enters the palace of Ravan and he sees that his brother is sitting down, very worried. And where is he sitting? He's sitting in the Pushpak Viman. So Kumbhakarna, he goes to Ravan who's sitting there and he tells, what happened to you? I heard that troops of Vanaras have all crossed the ocean. They have built a bridge and they are fighting a war against you. What's the story? He goes and asks. And then Ravana, he tells Kumbhakarna, my dear brother, yes, there's a huge army of Vanaras. Ram and Lakshman, they have come here. They have become a big threat to me. So you go and blow them out. And hearing the lamentation of Ravan, Kumbhakarna laughs at Ravan. He says, see, this is the consequence of not listening to my advice. I told you, you should have thought before you abducted Sita. I told you, give away Sita and everything will be resolved. But you didn't listen. You don't listen to advice. You didn't think about the consequences simply because you're arrogant. You think you're very, very powerful. Hmm? You didn't listen to good advice. So much misfortune has happened simply because you did not listen to our advice. Mere Vanaras and humans, they are coming here and you're losing in front of them. There is everything is going wrong. So much lust that you have is really not good. Your lust simply spoiled everything. You're a king and you should know what is right and wrong. A king cannot be so lustful that he loses himself. Why don't you think before acting? You thinking without act before act with you not thinking before acting is your problem. So then Kumbhakarna, he abuses his elder brother because his elder brother did not heed to the advice that was given to him. He did not heed to the advice that was given by Vibhishan as well. So he said, you should have assessed the powers of Ram. Why did you allow him to come all the way here? So like this Kumbhakarna, he begins to talk harshly. But Ravan, he gets angry, right? If someone gives him good advice, he will get angry. And then he tells his brother, stop, I desperately need your help. And that's the reason why I asked you to come. I didn't ask you to come here to give me advice. Okay, I agree. Whatever has happened, and I cannot change the past. Now I'm in the middle of a battle, so you better help me. That's the only thing that I have. Just go and crush everybody and finish the battle. So he says, why are you advising me like a saintly guru? What is the use of all this speech? Go and get the job done. Save the name and fame of all the demons. Yes, I did a mistake, but why are you talking about my mistake? Go take some action. What's the use of talking everything over and over? So then Kumbhakarna says, okay, finally, okay, I told you earlier also, whatever it is, I will help you. So there is no use talking now. Things have gone too far. I am your brother. I have to save the name and fame of my brother and the demons. And I will promise you that I will go and crush all our enemies. And today itself, everything will be over. Okay. Even if I have to die, he says, actually, that's what will happen. He will die. But he says, even if I have to die, I will ensure the battle is over. I will go and I will eat up everybody. Actually, I'm so hungry. You've woken me up untimely. Even the entire heaven is not enough for my food. So now you relax, brother. You drink, make merry, drink wine, enjoy, and leave the task to me. I am Kumbhakarna. I will go and I will finish everybody. So, like that, when Kumbhakarna finished giving his speech and he was ready to walk away, at that time, Mahodhara, who's one of the demons who was around, he excitedly came running to Kumbhakarna and he told Kumbhakarna, I have a solid idea to propose. So I don't think you should go single-handedly like this to the battlefield and fight with Ram. Rather, I have a very, very nice idea. So he said, Mahodhara, he looked at Ravan and he told Ravan, I have a strategy in mind. This way, you can fulfill your purpose of enjoying Sita without having a fight with Ram. So, listen to me while I tell my strategy. Do this. Announce by beating drums in the city streets that myself, Dvijihva, Samhradi, Kumbhakarna, and Vitadana, these five demons are setting out for a battle to kill Ram. So, we will go as per the plan and we will give him a fight. If we conquer your enemies, there is no need for strategy. Okay. But if our enemy survives, then we will execute this plan that I have made. So what is the plan? The five of us will go, we will fight, and then we will come back from the battlefield with our clothes moistened with blood and our bodies with the arrows from Ram that has been shot by Ram. And then we will come and say, Ram and Lakshman have been eaten by us because we are big, strong demons. We'll just go say, headed by Kumbhakarna, we went and we devoured everybody. Okay, so then you king or Ravan, you can proclaim in the city. Now you can beat drums and tell that all our enemies have been eaten up. Ram and Lakshman have been eaten up by Kumbhakarna and his friends. And then, for namesake, after making such announcements by beating drums, you can even give clothes and gold to the public as charity, saying that we have won. And like this, you can drink wine, throw a party, and then the rumors will spread, and the rumors will also go to Ashokavatika. Sita will also get to know about this. Then you can approach Sita in private, tempt her with gold and grain and with all the luxuries and precious stones, and tell her that Ram is being eaten up by these demons and there is no more Ram, so she has to surrender to your desire. So, like this, by this false pretense, you can create fear and anguish in Sita's heart, and she will know that her husband is dead and she will reluctantly submit to your will. So that way, she will come under your control. And we don't even have to fight this war. Where is the need to continue this war? So let's implement this wonderful idea. So this was the idea of Mahodhara. And Mahodhara's idea is very much like the ideas of Kali Yuga. But however, Kumbhakarna, when he heard this, he was highly annoyed. He said, what a stupid advice it is. Why are you even speaking like this? Only cowards speak like this. You're so scared. That's why you're giving such crazy advices. And if the king has advisors like you, then what will the kingdom have? What will the kingdom even sustain? So he chastises his crazy ideas of Mahodara. And that is when Ravan, he bursts into a laughter and he says, hey, Kumbhakarna, yeah, that guy, he's just speaking something. But Kumbhakarna, whatever you said is true. Hmm? Whatever Mahodhara said, just ignore all that. But you go, my dear brother. You go. Nobody is equal to you in friendship and strength, in my eyes. You march to the battlefield and destroy all the enemies and achieve victory. So Kumbhakarna says, I will go myself. I don't need all these extra demons, these five demons who want to come with me. I don't want all of them. I will single-handedly go and I will eat up everybody. So Kumbhakarna, he takes a humongous form and he starts to the battlefield and many bad omens are seen. So we'll leave Kumbhakarna going and we'll stop here for today. And tomorrow, next week, we'll see Kumbhakarna's fight and how he dies. Hare Krishna. Any questions, comments, realizations? Okay, if there are no, yes, if there are no other questions or comments, we can end. Okay. So we can end here and we can meet next week. Okay. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. अनंतकोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय. श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय. Thank you, dear devotees. Hare Krishna.